Oh, there we go. Good evening, everybody. Attorney Greg Lake with the Entheogenic Esquire podcast YouTube channel here with my good friend Adam Thomas of the Adam Thomas podcast, bringing you yet another Friday Night Live. I guess that's what we can call it now. Friday Night Live.
Yeah, we've done Friday Night Live.
Yeah, we've done a few together. That's real Americana, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Friday Night Live. That's a great movie. Yeah, so as the thumbnail suggests, we're going to be talking tonight, and this is really in consideration of, I guess, a lot of my live stream yesterday, but really a lot of Barron's live stream last night. You know, when this all started, I had a feeling, and especially since it's gone on, looking back at a lot of the initial media coverage of the Charlie Kirk incident, I think now after Barron's, for sure, his live stream last night, it's become very clear to me that the media and obviously politicians local to Utah and whoever the powers that be, my opinion, allegedly made a concerted effort to manipulate and contrive the narrative, which we now call the Fed slop narrative, many of us, to contrive that narrative from day one. Okay. And obviously, as Barron discussed last night, the ultimate goal of this was to polarize Americans, left versus right. And in order to do that, they used paid or, I don't know, actors. Okay. That's all I can say. Actors, not very good ones either.
No.
Yeah. Actors, actresses, crisis actors. A lot of them have been called, to put out this story, right? And what were the important elements, right? Barron covered them last night. The two most important, I feel, were shot from the roof narrative and furry leftist narrative, right?
Or just shot in general.
Or shot in general, right? So yeah, there's different levels of abstraction to this, as Adam points out. But obviously this certain narrative, I say shot from the roof because really that's where they're alleging that Tyler Robinson was positioned when he allegedly took the shot. And then the furry leftist narrative, because, I would imagine, I try to stay neutral and objective as possible, but I would imagine from the right, being a furry leftist is probably the easiest to get people kind of up in arms and enraged about, someone of that ilk doing a violent act against Charlie Kirk, which was a person so endeared on the right. I mean, not endeared by a lot of people, but, especially on the right. So yeah, just sitting back, looking at that formula. I mean, it sucks to say, but it makes sense, right? It certainly makes sense. I mean, certainly they knew what they were doing, at least at that time. Okay. And, the sad thing about it, the way I kind of look at this, because obviously I'm not of the camp or of the opinion that Tyler Robinson was the one that committed this. I think there was a cabal of individuals collectively who had individual motives of varying degrees and extent, but a cabal of individuals who I'm not in any capacity to name, not going to name or try to identify, but not Tyler Robinson. People who had, a very sinister motive for this. And so, if we sit back and think, what was possibly this motive? Well, when we kind of look at it, I think one, trying to stop the capitulation of support for Philadelphia, which Charlie Kirk was seemingly starting to push to the side at the time of his death. It's like, seeming to wane at the time of Charlie Kirk's death. I think the numbers certainly
That's putting it mildly.
prove that up. And then, we see a lot of using Charlie Kirk's legacy beyond the grave for whatever is the most politically expedient and profitable ways or means possible. I mean, again, it's just my opinion, my perspective. And then, as Barron noted last night, and this was the one that really clued me in that something wasn't right here, was the, to divide us politically, right?
Mm-hmm.
I pretty much caught that from the start. And to be honest, I catch, there are overtures of that still going. If you watch some of these news outlets from time to time, there's certainly overtures of that going now that they've lost the narrative. We're going to talk right now about them losing the narrative, because it did not take long. It did not take long of us who are motivated towards the truth, who are at least now motivated towards political centricism, to realize that we were getting played. Okay. And hats off to all the ballistic experts, ex-special forces, Range Day Bro, Valhalla, Trigger Smart, all those people who went and basically proved, as far as I'm concerned, that we did not see a 30-06 shot cause whatever trauma to Charlie Kirk's body that we unfortunately had to watch a million times that night.
Mm-hmm.
A 30-06 bullet did not cause that injury. And so with that narrative that they fought so hard from day one to push, it became clear very early on that we were being sold a bad bill of goods. Okay.
Definitely.
Yeah. And so, what happened in response? Okay. And this is really a lot of what we're going to be covering tonight is, what happened in response to them losing that narrative? Well, one, which has become more evident really over the last couple of weeks since Candace started her series. Well, they put social media influencers on the payroll. They put social media influencers on the payroll. They continued through the mainstream media outlets at all costs to both push the narrative again of shot from the roof, 30-06, leftist furry. Okay. And then, and that's egregious enough. But really, when we get to the social media influencers, I can't say for sure 100% that they, I haven't looked at their bank account. I can't say, oh yeah, they took this amount of money to push this narrative,
One can always make an educated guess.
No, that's right. That's right. And, and just guess, right? Because, one thing I'll say at the outset here, talking about these, is that a lot of them seem to have no care and concern for their credibility. People
none whatsoever.
So like people who were at one time, okay, telling you don't trust the government, talking at length about prior government assassinations and conspiracies, all of a sudden flip the tune and saying, hey, no, let's let the evidence come out. We need to wait for this trial. This can, this magic bullet can have, and obviously Adam and I have covered this kind of at length too in some of our prior live streams about these who have come out and, in my opinion, shot their credibility trying to protect this narrative. Now, that in itself is bad enough. What really got, obviously, Adam and I up in arms was the attack on Candace, who in others, in all fairness, in others, but mainly
it's
Candace.
Just not natural. It's not organic. That's just, I'm sorry. You can't convince me otherwise.
Especially when you're using terminology, all
the same.
When a certain organization is using terminology that, that certain organization seems to be, losing Christian support day by day. And now we have influencers using Christian words like devil, evil, hell, I'm not even going to repeat what Dan Bondino said.
And it's like copy and paste. Yeah. It's like copy and paste ex post. You know what I mean? Like they might even, just to add a little bit of legitimacy, they might go in there and change 2 or 3 or 4 words, but it's, it's all the exact same. So.
Exactly. And they got called out, and, all Candace has really been doing, It's been pretty harsh. I mean, I'm not going to lie, but I mean, to as far as I can tell, it's all been true, and it's all been aimed at the actors and actresses, not very good ones at that, in and around this situation. Am I correct?
Oh yeah, you're definitely correct.
And poor Adam throughout this whole deal, even Adam and I have small channels trying to do our part, Adam trying to do his part, did an episode sticking up for Candace, more or less calling out in a respectful way one Gary from Paramount Tactical about his antics in this regard. And Gary was he the only one that posted the comment under that video, Adam?
Yeah.
And asked you to come on the show.
Yep.
To talk about what you were more or less explaining in your video. Am I correct?
Yes, that's it. That's the way I took it. So yeah, I don't know how it got in front of him, but hey, there you go. That right there just goes to show that even little tiny channels, I guess just given the right circumstances, they can get in front of the right eyes. But yeah, I mean, it shocked me when I first saw it.
And let me say this, I think in terms of the First Amendment, liberty, us out here, public discourse, marketplace of ideas, as I've discussed, Adam was really trying to engage. I mean, especially when he asked you at least to come on the show. I mean, I know I've talked to you. Your intention was to go on and engage in an adult, credible conversation about the dynamics there between him being upset and attacking Candace at what, you perceived exercising your right, her right under the First Amendment. So, really lining up for hopefully a productive and perhaps educational conversation about what is our First Amendment freedoms and what should we be supporting in terms of citizen investigations, actually looking at alternate theories to try to explain a situation that makes no sense. And even, and Adam, I mean, in all transparency, I told Adam this week, I was like, well, let's talk about this. Is a very meaningful thing. And by the way, the way that kind of my live stream, then Barron's last night turned out, this whole, I guess, paradigm we're talking about tonight, it all kind of worked out. But, I told Adam, make an X post, just see again if he'll bring you on, because at the end of the day, I think it would have been much more productive had you been able to go on his show and talk to him about this versus us having this conversation tonight, which again,
and I'm hoping that both can happen. I mean, we can have this conversation and hopefully, somebody from this chat can slip into his chat, maybe super chatting to make sure he sees it, but be like, hey,
yeah, absolutely.
I heard you made an offer,
well, he did
make good on that.
Well, he did, and I think, as men in America and being creators on YouTube, trying to role model, hopefully for younger adults, younger men and children, living up to our word, right? And maybe
that's all you got.
Maybe he did regret later asking you that for whatever reason, but still, I've said a lot of things I regretted, but
he probably thought about it afterwards and thought, man, am I going to platform this SOB? I mean, after the things that he said, but he offered, so
he did.
And I mean, how much more public can it be than in the public comments under a public video? I mean, it's not like he shared this in private, and
yeah, and it was the only comment on your video.
Yes, at that point in time, it was.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure. Okay. I mean, and I can pull all that up, or we can wait until a little bit later on. It don't matter, just whenever. But I've got some of those screenshots and all that.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but I mean, on YouTube, you can go back and delete any comment you made at any time, right?
Yeah, no, they're still on there.
Okay. Well, and thank you, Adam, for providing some more context there. And so, in addition,
trust me, they're not going anywhere. That's like a trophy for me. I mean, I got just over 200 followers. He's got almost, he's got almost 300,000 followers. So, I mean, for him to comment on my video and to know that I got under his skin enough for him to come into my comments, I mean, that's a trophy for me.
I get it. And Candace would be proud. I know. So
And hey, one thing about it, in all of those videos that I did, where I dressed him or Jay Witt or some of those other assholes, Graham Allen, I always say, I know that the biggest podcast in the world, Candace Owens, I know she doesn't need me to defend her,
oh,
but
absolutely, yeah,
some people listen to this shit and possibly take it serious. So I
yeah.
feel like I feel like it's my place.
Yeah. Well, so in addition to, getting these social media and other followers, and, they also engage the mainstream media again. And specifically, obviously Brian talked about Brian Enton last night. And I had also talked about Brian Enton in this regard in one of my prior live streams where, and really there were two. I know the main offender, was in my opinion, allegedly was the one with Lance Twiggs' aunt,
Oh God.
alleged aunt, some type of relation, right? To Lance
If she
Twiggs.
was even that. Well, I guess she was, because that person did confirm, I guess, that she's distant family.
Very distant. Not and basically I
Right.
think what the conclusion was, Adam, was that she's not close enough to be making the statements that she was. And thank you, Baron, for playing the most offensive conclusion that Brian Enton asked her. Do you think they have the right man? Absolutely. So,
Yeah.
so again,
I'll tell you, just for a comparison, she is about as close a relative to him as that son of Mitch Snow that Gary brought on to refute and, just tear down Mitch's character. She's about as close a relative as Mitch Snow's son. Well, I'm sorry, I said that wrong. She's about as close to him as Mitch Snow's son is to him. I think he met him. I think he met the boy once when he was a little baby and hadn't talked to him in,
okay.
20 plus years.
Yeah. So, anyways, Brian Enton, and thank you, Brian Enton did that interview, and then there's another one, and I haven't pulled it up for tonight. I definitely have referenced it, but he also, and this was after the Lance Twiggs, it was like a week after, because before, and this was an ex-FBI agent. Okay, and so obviously we know that Brian Enton, or at least in our opinion, Brian Enton's interview, which and yeah, let me say this real quick. Brian Enton in the second interview references back to the Lance Twigg aunt interview and he said, I knew I'd get this before I did it, that I didn't do my research on who this person was, but I did. And I think what Brian Enton meant to say, because I'm like Barron, I do like a lot of Brian Enton's work, and I do think that he comes off genuine. But I think what it was is that anytime News Nation, the big media outlet, because he has his own YouTube channel now, I would just imagine, my opinion, and I love Brian, don't get me wrong, I think when News Nation, just like people in the public buy into it when News Nation just gives it to them, right? Or Fox News. I think Brian Enton probably bought into it a little bit more, that was Lance Twiggs' aunt, because News Nation sent him there to interview her. And I would hope they gave him the questions too. I really hope they gave him the questions. But, anyway, so these two interviews are a response, in addition to social media, other influencers, to try to correct the narrative. But me as a trial lawyer, what's been the most offensive part, in my opinion, my perspective, that the mainstream media has done to try to rectify this losing of the narrative, is that they've tried to crucify Tyler Robinson in the media. Okay. And so how have they done this? Well,
talking about tainting the jury pool, that works both ways. I mean, talking about how these alternate theories, if a jury starts hearing some of these, a guilty man may walk free, but on the same, at the same time, what if he really isn't responsible for it? And yet they're on every single day shouting from the rooftops that Tyler Robinson did it. He did it alone. So, I mean, could that jury pool not also, just as much be tainted in that regard?
Well, they could. And I'm going to talk a little bit tonight about,
which is it better? Is it better for a innocent man to pay the price, possibly the ultimate price? Or is it better for a guilty person that there was a reasonable doubt or a shadow of a doubt to walk free?
No doubt. So they've done this really in two major ways. One, I'm going to play an example tonight of the lip readers. So they sent lip readers in court. That's really, in my view, seems to be what Tyler Robinson's attorneys seem to be mostly alluding to in their motions, and they're, in the here very soon, they're going to go to court to try to push the cameras out. And I think that the lip readers in the court were probably one of the main offenders. But yes, like Adam says, there's constant references, and it just the truth about it, y'all. And it's mostly in the right-wing media. And again, that's
Jack Posobiec, and I mean, all of them people.
That's neither right or wrong, but there's constant evidence to him being guilty, how airtight the evidence is, et cetera, et cetera. And now third, and this is one of the worst to me, is that I believe that and ultimately I think the push is this, to either make this a secret proceeding because they've lost the narrative, or two, scare Tyler Robinson into a plea deal because they've lost the narrative. And in order to do that, what they've done is, one, early on, they made it seem in the media like Lance Twiggs was cooperating with the FBI. And then two, as I covered very recently, there are articles talking about the state of Utah, which is probably true, is introducing a bill to try to expedite their death penalty and make it, quote unquote, appeal proof in favor of the state. So again, the way I'm reading that is that they've lost control of the narrative. These other interviews trying to rehabilitate the text messages and all the other, in my opinion, trash evidence that they have. Well, what's the next go-to? It's try to scare this young man into signing. Again, maybe he avoids death row that way, but in my opinion, probably be
You still there, Greg? I think your net's acting up a little bit. Hold on, folks. Hopefully he'll come back.
I'm sorry. Did I get cut out for just a second?
You're going to have to make a complaint to Elon Musk about his internet.
Yeah. Am I good now, though?
Yeah, you're good.
Okay. I apologize, y'all. And I'm pretty sure I caught it out of the corner of my eye. Many apologies. But at the end of the day, that's really the worst offender to me, because, trying to either get a conviction through a plea deal, or to push this proceeding underground or behind closed doors, which affects all of we the people's rights.
Star chamber.
It's unacceptable to me. And so really it's reached a level where, hey, we need to talk about it. So Baron, thank you very much for your live stream last night. Obviously we're going to go into it tonight.
Well, I'm no attorney, but I'm going to just tell you, the way I see it, is about the plea deal. All right. So for starters, yes, I think that's pretty, there's a pretty good chance of that they're trying to scare him into a plea deal, especially since, in my opinion, now I know what the narrative is, but in my opinion, I believe they scared him into turning himself in. I believe that he turned himself in because his face was on the news and it was getting passed around, and that, if he got picked up at the house or something, I mean, all it would take is one wrong twitch, and then all of a sudden you got a shootout and you're not even holding a gun. So, I feel like that's why he turned himself in anyway to start with. So they're probably trying to scare him into a plea and, making a plea deal. But at the end of the day, on that death penalty thing, you're going to see them push hard for that death penalty. If the only way I see him getting convicted is if somebody's majorly manufactured something that we don't know about. And in that case, if he does get convicted, they're going to give him the death penalty quick, because they're not going to want to give him time to appeal this stuff and, have the whole thing relitigated. That's just my thought. That's just what I feel.
Yeah, no, you're right. And so, I think at the end of the day, we're really looking at two different camps here, right? We got our camp here, and really our echo chamber, where it's like Fed slop narrative, It's too many holes in this case. We're going to investigate, and we're going to, like me, open up this court proceeding and analyze it to the nth degree, really trying to protect the rights of Tyler Robinson, and also in this instance trying to balance, because in a way, as an attorney, I can tell you, looking at a lot of the media coverage, I mean, I'm especially seeing the lip reader thing today. Man, I really can see in a way why Tyler Robinson's attorneys might want to try to keep the cameras and stuff out of the courtroom. But the opposite camp, right, is don't ask any questions. This Fed slop narrative, even though reasonable people have questions, don't have them. If you do ask questions, if you look into the actors and actresses, as terrible as they are in and around this situation, you're evil, you're a witch, you're the devil, but which of those two camps ultimately is dangerous to our liberty? We got to ask ourselves, right? Which camp would you rather be in at this juncture? And, ultimately, I'll admit, we do exist in an echo chamber a little bit within our sphere. But, the reason why we haven't subscribed to this other camp is because it's based upon this Fed slop narrative, and it's based upon what we saw, a political gaming and posturing from the time of the incident, trying to divide us. And I'm not going to lie, it makes me feel good, because I do feel in our camp, both sides are coming together. And look, I'm the hippie. I'm the entheogenic escort. I'm a hippie. It makes me feel good when people come together and start to love one another a little bit. And
hey, I'm a redneck, so I mean,
I'm a hippie red. I grew up in Northeast Texas, man. I grew up in the woods too. You know what I mean? So yeah, it makes me feel good, and it doesn't make me feel good when other people try to say that what we're doing is dangerous to our liberty, when we're looking directly at a situation.
It's like this. If you're going to use that logic, then they need to just shut the hell up and not mention the case again until after it goes to court.
No, that's right.
I mean, look, if us talking about the case is dangerous, then them talking about the case is dangerous. I mean, actually, to me, we need to be doing this because there has to be a counter to every argument. There has to be some balance. Anytime you just got one group of people or one, narrative out there, then that's how they do psychological operations. You get one narrative, the same all the time. Bam, 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 bam. So I mean, it's necessary. That's exactly why we got the First Amendment.
And you say that, and that's what makes me a bit appreciative of the Comanche video, because
we still haven't done that. We haven't.
And I'll just say this, y'all. I still haven't been able to go all the way through the 11 hours, but I did a short on it, and Comanche came in and made some comments on my short. And I'm just gonna say, even though I disagree with a lot of stuff, like in the video and some of the stuff he says, like it seems like his demeanor is more amicable, and like he might have a little bit more commitment to actually trying to get to the truth. So I just wanted to put that out there.
And hopefully that's the way he really is, and that's the way he really feels.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And one thing I want to say,
he knows Gary personally, so I don't know.
Yeah, he does. Let me ask you this. Do you remember the name? I've had so much going on. The Utah politician that Barron was discussing last night? That was the one.
Phil Lyman?
Okay. Phil Lyman. So when I saw the video with Phil Lyman thank you, Barron.
He's a weirdo.
A lot of things started clicking for me, but I know y'all remember, and I've been discussing the text messages that Grunander, the DA, attached to their response to the disqualification motion. And, I made some shorts. I think I made some posts about it, but in that text stream, like 16 minutes after the incident, one of his family members say, "Oh, it was a shooter from the roof."
Right.
And just seeing Phil Lyman there, this Utah politician who seems to be drilling this narrative through the media, seemingly through actors, it just makes me think, how well was this narrative planned out, allegedly amongst all these people?
Pretty well.
And were the actual district attorneys, or at the very least their family members, knowledgeable of this narrative from the get-go, right? Before the sniper position was even found, the alleged sniper position.
Right.
You see what I mean? And so,
Yeah.
and that begs the question: did they know it all before?
Right. And,
Okay.
I mean, you can have a lot of people involved in a quote unquote conspiracy like this. And
Yeah.
you can have a lot of people that are literally just useful idiots. You can have people that are unknowingly, involved in being used in that.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, and I'm not saying that they did or didn't know, but, they're getting fed information from somewhere. So, I mean, there's the chance that they were getting fed information from somewhere by somebody that knew the plan, and they were just literally taking them at their word, or, they knowingly, they were knowingly spreading.
Yeah. No, I agree. So, here's kind of the course that we're going to go tonight. If this is okay with you, Adam, I was going to show a couple of the most offensive media coverage of Tyler Robinson's trial that I found, and just kind of go through those, right?
Yeah.
Because we're trying to show how the media here, and that's including content creators, YouTube, and the like, are actually dangerous to liberty. So I figured look at a couple of these that really focus on Tyler Robinson's trial, and then let's go in and look at some of your episode that spawned the comment from Gary.
Yeah.
Okay.
For sure.
And then let's have a conversation kind of in the spirit of what you would have spoken with Gary about, if that's okay with you. Yeah, and then we'll just kind of wrap it up and conclude from there. But let's go ahead. So I've and you were right, Adam. I am able to pull up materials here. I think you'll have to add it to the stage.
Yeah.
So here is a Fox News segment from this last court hearing. After the last court hearing, which would have been, I think not this past Tuesday, but the week before. Am I right? Damn,
something like that.
Yeah, it was March. I think it might have been this Tuesday before last. I'm so sorry, y'all. But anyways, Adam, if you can pull it up, do you see it?
Yes, I see it. Sorry,
Okay.
I don't know why I didn't see it to start with.
And when you
Okay,
pull it
let's
up,
see
we'll
here.
So we'll be able to see the date here. Where is this? Oh, and Barron, he's probably, if I were working for Barron, he'd probably be cussing me right now. Remember he was talking about the news sites last night?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah. Speaking of the news, I guess we've got a former, what was it? Former MSM. What'd she say she was? Hold on. Let me scroll back. Man, there's a lot of comments in here. Anyway, somebody that worked for MSM.
Oh, okay. Well, and thank you everybody for showing up. God bless each and every one of you. If you haven't already, the Adam Thomas podcast, obviously we're going through Adam's channel tonight. God bless him. If you haven't, very much, please go subscribe to Adam's channel. I'm the Entheogenic Esquire. I'm also kind of tangentially streaming through my channel. If you haven't subscribed, please do. We're honored to have you. And please hit the like, right? So this is one thing I've not been doing a lot of through my streams, just because I get so worked up and going full steam ahead. But if y'all don't mind, like the stream if you're liking what's going on, please, as much as you can, because it does help to get, obviously there's again, case in point, right? We know now for sure that the media right after the Charlie Kirk incident pushed to suppress a lot of the truly authentic contemporaneous witness statements, whether it was on social media or like the one that I discussed in my stream yesterday, right? So if you think they did it then, I think you'd be amiss to think they aren't doing that now. And it just makes it a lot harder for Adam and I to grow our channels, especially when we're not really in with the cool crowd, I guess, just trying to do it from the ground up. So all the support, very much appreciated and very helpful.
Yes.
But anyways,
I'm going to pull a Jesse and say, look, it's not free to watch our content. It just doesn't cost anything. If you're going to watch, come on, you have to subscribe and like.
Yeah. So thank y'all very much. I'll go ahead and start. So again, this is a Fox News segment that was done, I think, the same day as the last court date where the judge gave his order about on the. Okay, so the defense had filed a disqualification motion for the prosecution, and there were a couple court hearings, and then this last court appearance was the judge, and it was online. The judge reading his order and had some other things, some other business, not relevant right now. But anyways, this is Fox News segment response to the judge's ruling, okay?
Fox News alert a major ruling in the case against Charlie Kirk's alleged assassin. The judge denying Tyler Robinson's attempt to disqualify the entire prosecution team.
Because the defendant has not established a factual basis for a finding of conflict of interest or an objective appearance of impropriety rising to a constitutional concern, his motion is respectfully denied.
And with that, hello, I'm John Roberts in Washington, and welcome to a Tuesday afternoon State of the Union. Big decision by the judge there, but a lot of people believe that the motion itself was absolutely preposterous.
And we will continue the breaking news on that as we begin America Reports. Good to be with you, John. I'm Sandra Smith in New York. Fox News contributor Josh Ritter is now with us. He joins us now on this breaking news. As we just heard, Josh, the judge dismissing the defense's push that we have seen for quite some time now to remove the prosecution team from Charlie Kirk's murder case. So what is your reaction to that?
Well, it's a relief, but it shouldn't have been a relief. This is a fairly straightforward issue that you would have hoped the judge would have made this same decision much earlier. I mean, I'm glad that he arrived at the right decision. It's just unfortunate that it took us several different court appearances, several different witnesses testifying, hours of court time to arrive at a decision that everybody, myself included, who took a look at this, felt that it was a little preposterous, that it was far-fetched, and that it was something that the judge should have handled much quicker than he did. Now, that all being said, this is a death penalty case. And so he's going to give some deference to the defense, and he's going to allow them to kind of have these full-throated arguments in court. But it does seem as if this is a precursor for things to come, this case is going to take a very long time.
And it already has. I mean, there were 2 prior hearings on this matter. Why is this dragging out so long?
I don't know. Like I said, I think the judge is really allowing the defense to stretch their legs. And if they want to have a hearing and if they want to call witnesses, if he doesn't feel it's completely unreasonable to allow for that, he's going to. But these are not difficult issues. There are going to be difficult issues in this case down the road. And if this kind of straightforward sort of an issue is taking this much court time, I fear for what we're to expect later on when the issues become far more consequential.
You know, for all of us who had watched, especially going back to, I believe we've covered it during this hour, his first court appearance. And, you know, there was that moment where he smirked. We saw him greet the judge this morning. Josh, what is the American public supposed to think when?
Okay, just real quick, let me stop right here. Okay, so obviously we can tell the general tone of this coverage is anti-Tyler Robinson, right?
Mm-hmm.
And let me say this as a lawyer. Sure, the law covering the disqualification motion wasn't very strong in favor of the defense, but let's be honest, they were very concerned because, one, the DA, Grunander, did have a child that was at the actual incident, right? And so that really, in reality, it did cause a conflict. So it wasn't whether that caused a conflict, it was, you know, the magnitude of it and whether it ultimately led, you know, to a disqualification. But look, what was the most concerning was the fact that I think the attorney general, the day after this happened, before they even knew who Tyler Robinson or any alleged perpetrator was, announced that they were going to seek the death penalty. And then within a week from that announcement, they indeed did go and file capital charges against Tyler Robinson. And so those 2 things kind of working in tandem are very concerning. And regardless of whether the law, and the third, let me say this, despite having reservations and there being concerning elements to how this case really initially progressed, okay, the DA's office did not announce their conflict, right? So it's very concerning that there was a conflict to do with the second guy in charge of the DA's office that was not appropriate disclosed in a timely manner. Okay. And there was an early announcement of the death penalty before they even knew who Tyler Robinson was. Right. And so all these factors in the eyes of the defense in a capital case were very, very concerning. Right. And so while this guy, I don't know who the hell he is, while it seems so easy and straightforward to him, he's not on death row. He's not representing someone on death row, namely Tyler Robinson. Okay.
Exactly.
Yeah, so I just wanted to set the stage there. So again, the general tenure here, and this is a common theme going through their coverage, obviously, of anti-Tyler Robinson. But let's keep going.
And all this time goes by after something so clearly happened right before the American public, and so many, obviously, eyewitnesses to what happened.
Yeah, all this time wasted in these hearings, and so much of it about whether or not he can be photographed in court, whether or not they're going to show him in shackles or not, whether or not they're even allowed to videotape him while he's talking to his attorneys. It does seem as though there's a lot of bending over backwards for someone who
I think I'm hearing an echo,
by all
Greg.
accounts, from all the evidence that we have available to us, incredibly guilty for this crime.
Did y'all just hear what he said? Sorry about that. Say it again, Adam.
I'm sorry. It started echoing. I didn't know if you changed something on your end or what, but I haven't heard that till just then. I don't know, and it could just been the fluke.
Someone who is, by all attorneys, it does seem in shackles or not, whether or not they're even allowed to videotape him while he's talking to his attorneys. It does seem as though there's a lot of bending over backwards for someone who is, by all accounts, from all the evidence that we have available to us, incredibly guilty for this crime. Now, I realize this is the United.
He didn't even say allegedly. Hey, your mic's off. You're muted.
Yeah. So in so many words, okay, he said, here we have a judge bending over backwards. And this is a legal expert, right? And that's the thing that gets me. They bring these legal experts on. Okay. And that's not to say like me and Barron or and other lawyers have commented along our camp here are much smarter or more experienced than this guy. I don't know him, but he's portrayed as the legal expert. And here he goes saying that, the judge is bending over backwards by, for someone who, by all appearances, all the evidence I've seen, and not just guilty, incredibly guilty. Okay.
Am I misunderstanding? But to me, the way I understand it constitutionally, the way our system works, it's better for somebody that is guilty to go free than for somebody that's not guilty to pay the ultimate price. I mean, is that not basically the whole idea? Obviously you hope that the right decisions get made, but at the end of the day, if it's going to be one or the other, do we not err on the side of well, that's why it's innocent until proven guilty.
A true America
Yes.
first is that position. All right. Yeah. If we put our Constitution and our, well-entrenched, long-standing legal principles and standards in front of, seeing someone put to death, because, and I showed this on another one of my streams, like, the rate of error on death penalty cases is way too high. I think it's like 4 to 8% or something. But let me say this.
It doesn't sound like much, but that's too much when you're talking about taking somebody's life.
And the funny thing about it, and you can go ahead and take it off, Adam. That was really the main part I wanted to show on that clip. Thank you. Hold on just a second. Let me gather my thoughts back.
But I mean, this guy here basically, and you've heard people say this before, but generally jokingly, but basically this guy right here has said that no, it's not he's not innocent until proven guilty. He is literally guilty unless he's proven innocent.
And the thing about it, Adam, which that statement's bad enough as it is, but what really takes it beyond just him making a heinous statement on Fox News like that too, I think they're absolutely trying to push an agenda here, is the fact that in 2022, Utah Republicans, and let's be honest here, Fox News tends to cater to Republicans. And so in Utah in 2022, the Republicans were actually trying to rescind or repeal the death penalty. Okay.
Right.
So now we have this 180 switch all of a sudden when Tyler Robinson's on trial in the same news station serving the party that wanted to repeal or rescind the death penalty in 2022 and is now seeking to expedite and make it appeal proof, is now sitting here making these statements in
it's
a
funny how
capital
people's
case.
opinions switch like that when it's somebody on, the opposite side. Look, at the end of the day, I believe in the death penalty. I think that we should be very, very careful, when handing it down.
Yeah. Look, eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth. And
there are certain things that are so heinous. And I believe, this is just me personally. I'm not speaking for anybody else, but now I believe a lot of these, people that do bad things to children, if it's proved beyond a shadow of a doubt, instead of paying for these people for 25 years or whatever, to me, that's the most cause for it. You know what I mean? That kid never recovers. And I'm sorry, but it's a proven fact that anybody that does that, when you turn them back out, they're the highest rate of offending again. You know what I mean? So, and that was kind of a digression there, I guess. We took a side road,
it's okay. No,
I do believe in the death penalty, but
with guardrails. And
I'm going to tell you right now, I don't believe myself. I don't believe Tyler Robinson is innocent. I just don't necessarily believe. I don't believe he's guilty of doing what they're saying he's guilty of. I believe he is guilty of something. That's my feeling. But
he very well might be. For some reason,
but they're trying to put it all on him, and put the hammer down.
And in all fairness, I think Brandy and Billy, last time they were at court, and got this information through Barron and then watched some of their streams too. I think they did speak with maybe some of Lance Twiggs, actual family members, right? Who said that, there might have been something kind of tangentially funny going on that they might have accidentally kind of brushed and got into,
right,
which led to this. But they said they absolutely no way do they think that Tyler Robinson.
I've already said what my theory is, and it's not my theory, but the theory I believe in the most probably is that they talked him into bringing a gun there and dropping it off. I would guess, like Valhalla was saying, I'm not going to steal his story here, but hey, drop off the gun so somebody can use it. Get up on the roof, be a lookout. He gets up there, and then all of a sudden, bang, and they could have been as specific. It's like, go out here on this little point where it juts out, this little nook, and get down on your hands and knees. Maybe he had some binoculars in that bag. I don't know, but there's a lot of things that could be, but I don't feel like he's guilty of what they're, charging him with.
Yeah. Well, and again, let me just say this, in just my opinion, I just don't think someone with pure intentions in a reasonable mind, especially an attorney, would be making these types of statements. I just don't.
Right.
I just don't. And again, back to kind of where we were in the monologue, is that this is their attempt to recover from losing the narrative, right? And it goes from trying to control the actual story of what went on to just, F that, he's guilty.
Yeah.
No more do we need to talk about the evidence. You're not going to see that. You're not going to see the mainstream media actually talking about the evidence anymore. It's just now, oh, trust me, I'm the legal expert. I've looked at all of it. He's straight guilty.
Yeah. And they talk about as the evidence shows, or so far
Yeah.
the evidence that we've
Yeah.
received. I mean,
Yeah.
they act like there has been lots of evidence and things coming out. Like, am I wrong? There was one charging document that came out months ago that had a list of, has there been anything official, any kind of legal document since, of any kind addressing evidence?
So that's a very good question. So no, and
Not that I know of.
no. So Tyler Robinson's attorneys have filed an evidentiary motion, but commensurate or tangentially with it, they also filed a motion to classify that motion as private, right? And so that's they're trying to keep, and that's where I get kind of off base. I can, based upon this video and other things in this next video we're going to see, I can kind of see where they're going with keeping the cameras out of the courtroom, but the evidentiary motions trying to classify them as private is where I start really having a major issue. And so the 13th of March, there's going to be a hearing about whether they're going to classify those motions as private. And then obviously after that, the 17th will be about whether those proceedings will actually be in private. And so, yeah, coming up. But yeah, I do take issue with the evidentiary motions, especially being private. And look, I definitely want the media cameras inside the courtroom. But what we're going to look at next, and maybe it's a good time to transition, is a media video of why I certainly can understand why Tyler Robinson's defense, and aside from this that we just watched too, would have some issue with letting these media cameras in the courtroom. So
well, and one other point, and I know I've brought it up before, but one thing that people have to remember, because one of the big talking points, and I'm just going to generalize everybody, I'm not going to, but the whole TPUSA crowd, that whole group of people, the one thing that they keep screaming is when we talk about the lack of evidence, is that, don't you know that's the way things go when there's an investigation, or there's a this is being litigated, it's in court. Don't you know that they can't show the evidence that they've got? You can't show the evidence that the prosecutors can't show the evidence they got, because then the defense attorney,
they could show us the gun. They could show us the gun. They could show us the text.
Yeah, but the defense
They
attorney,
could do that.
the argument they always use is, but then the defense attorneys will know what they've got, and then they will, that is so absurd. Baron Coleman said this before, which I knew it already, but basically a trial is like a show. They have already went in front of the judge, and they have already argued back and forth. They know exactly what evidence is coming in. They know exactly every piece and every word that's going to be said. Basically, at the end of the day, they're just running through this show to, in front of the jury, to allow the jury to make their decision. But everything else is already decided. The prosecution and the defense both know exactly what's going in.
Yeah,
right?
It's called a motion in limine. So
but I'm just saying, there's no surprises. There's not just like, oh, I didn't know the defense had that piece of evidence.
On the defense side, there can be, because
I'm sorry, the prosecutor. I'm sorry, the prosecutor.
In a rebuttal, in certain, the defense, there's certain instances where they can surprise the prosecution.
I meant the prosecutors.
Well, the prosecution can also at times surprise the defense with the rebuttal. But
yes.
For the most part.
But as far as actual evidence,
through pretrial motions in limine, the judge, and this educational point real quick. So there's a thing called motions in limine, and in criminal cases also motions to suppress, where the judge pretrial takes a look at certain evidence and rules whether it's going to be admissible or not. Now, I will say this too, is that does not, for purposes of appeal, if you get, at least on the motion in limine for sure, if you get an adverse ruling, you still have to offer it at trial, and judge has to again deny it. in order to preserve it for appeal. But otherwise, yes, as far as the evidence that's going to be, because I mean, both sides need to be able to appropriately prepare their case to the best of their ability.
Yeah, I mean, that's the whole point of discovery,
of
correct? I mean, right?
Yes.
I mean, the defense gets discovery, so that means they get to see everything that the prosecutors have evidence-wise, so they can build a case based on what the prosecution is using to prosecute the case.
That's right.
So anyway, yes, absolutely. There are other little aspects of it, but overall, from 40,000 feet, there's not going to be a whole lot of surprises. The defense knows what the prosecutors are going to use to prosecute Tyler Robinson.
Yeah, I mean, I would suspect.
But they keep acting like it has to say a secret, because if it wasn't a secret, the defense would know what they're going to use to prosecute him by, and they could.
Well, no, that's just what
that's a dumb argument.
This is what these assholes out here are saying. No, I mean,
I hear that all the time, and it's just stupid.
I mean, and look,
know.
the in a criminal case, the attorneys they don't run out and tell everybody what the evidence is, but part of having a public and open proceeding is that the discovery happens behind closed doors, but these evidentiary motions should be made public, right? And that's where the issue is that sure, we're not going to be entitled to see all the discovery and all that, but we sure as hell should be entitled to these pre-trial evidentiary motion and suppression hearings that the defense has filed and trying to keep private.
But now, and one other thing, obviously when there is an open investigation, but this right here, I mean, as far as I know, they've already charged him, and this is already in court. But, prior to all that, when they are still investigating, I can understand them not wanting to put certain facts out because, hey, when you're interrogating somebody, you want to know if they really know, or you know what I mean? Like, I understand them holding certain facts back because there are going to be certain things that only somebody that was involved would know. But at this point in the process, we're past all that. I don't think they're trying to charge anybody else.
No, they filed the information. Like that's the thing.
Yeah, exactly.
We're
not at that point.
They have filed the information.
Yep.
All the facts as alleged in the information are what the prosecution has to go with at trial. So what we're looking at in that information, they gonna have to prove it, right?
Yep.
And they have chosen, sure they mentioned stuff in the information, but they've chose to release the text messages, describe them in the information, to release the photo of the rifle, say what kind it was specifically, when it doesn't say that in the information. And so, they did that. And, what happened. Everybody out here is double checking, and it doesn't add up.
Yeah, they just didn't. I don't think they realized just how much the public, how much public interest there would be. This man was one of the most influential and most loved figures.
Well, I think they absolutely knew. I think, to be quite honest with you, I think what it boils down to is that they were hoping that because of the highly polarized nature of our society, that most conservatives would be so upset that a leftist furry killed Charlie Kirk that they would not care whether everything added up or not.
Yeah, hang him.
I honestly think that. I do.
Yeah. Well, and that's one reason why I've always kind of gravitated towards the right. I hate to say it, but at the end of the day, it seems like these days anyway, on the left, you get a whole lot more falling in line. That's one problem with the Republicans, if you want to look at it politically, is there's so much free thinking and so many different ideas, and people aren't scared to have their own ideas. And sometimes it doesn't work well politically because they can't get together to, but at the end of the day, that's the problem is there's a lot of free thinkers out there, and they weren't ready to just hang him, because they said that he did it.
Yeah. Well, I got another clip pulled up.
Let me see.
This one's shorter. This is just like a 2-minute clip, but let me tell y'all, ladies and gentlemen, as an attorney, man, this right here is offensive. Okay, this right here, yeah, I'll just let y'all see. It's over the top, man. All right, y'all ready?
Even the world watching as Charlie Kirk's accused assassin made his first in-person court appearance today. So we asked a body language expert to break down what he saw. Thanks for joining us. I'm Heidi Hatch.
And I'm Mark Cabell. Tyler Robinson showed up in formal clothes today. No visible restraints on him for an hours-long hearing. We did not hear from him personally, but cameras captured his facial expressions and his demeanor as he sat in court.
David Ochoa asked a body language expert about what he noticed during stand out to him.
Well, he says Robinson's apparent lack of concern. He says it's got him locked into this case, and he's very interested to see what we learn about Robinson as it continues on moving forward. At his first public court appearance, a well-dressed Tyler Robinson had a little smile or two while talking with his lawyers.
That's the only thing that I looked at and went, ugh, he shouldn't be doing that.
Scott Rouse is a renowned body language expert who trains law enforcement attorneys and is also an interrogator. He says Robinson laughing wasn't a good look for someone who's accused of murder. He tells attorneys it's okay for their clients to have a pleasant look on their face, but this might have been too far.
I don't know what could be found funny during that situation. It would be a little bit tough for me to think something up, but apparently they're trying to, alleviate some of the stress for him.
Rouse also noticed something when Robinson and his attorneys interacted. He says their body language suggests they don't know each other very well.
Their body language isn't the type where you want to get close to them or you're touching them. They're not leaning the way they should lean if they knew him really well. I don't see any connection with them yet.
All in all, Rouse didn't see much out of the ordinary for a proceeding like this, but he did see at least one thing missing, the grief muscle.
These two muscles pull together and this muscle pulls down. I don't see any of that. I don't see any grief muscle that lets us know he's really, really worried about anything and no concern.
Now, Rouse says you can't really make any distinctions about his personality at this point in time, but he did compare him and Brian Kohberger. He says Robinson moves a lot more than Kohberger, who Rouse considers a psychopath. Reporting live, David Ochoa, KUTV 2 News.
You're muted.
Sorry about that. I pulled a bearing on y'all. Yeah. So let me just start by saying, like, look, ladies and gentlemen, just as a human being, like, regardless of what, someone in that situation cracking a smile, trying to make some light out of a fucking terrible day. Let's not fucking trash them, man. But let's go back real quick to the context here, right? What they're trying to convict this, like, the whole impetus there is that he should be remorseful because he fucking did something, right? So it's
maybe
just
he didn't do it.
It's implied in the whole deal that he's guilty, and then he didn't exercise his grief muscle. Well, look,
he said he wasn't worried about anything.
Like,
maybe he's not worried because he trusts the system.
Maybe he didn't do it, and it's okay if you didn't do it. And maybe, look, just because he's not expressing grief doesn't mean that he wanted Charlie Kirk to be dead or anything like that, right? There's a lot of very wrong assumptions that were made in that whole little segment. And then they end on, moves like a psychopath. Okay. So I say that to say this. I can understand a little bit where Tyler Robinson's attorneys might not want those people in court, but we have to sit back and ask ourselves, is this intentionally contrived? Is this intentionally contrived for Tyler Robinson's attorneys to file the privacy motion to keep the cameras out for a reason because they've lost the narrative? I'm not going to answer that question for you, but I just want to put it out there because that certainly is on the table considering what we know now, and especially after Barron's live stream last night.
It seems awfully odd that the media person there in the courtroom, kept saying, yes, I fully understand the rules, and kept, getting caught doing it. And I mean, it'd be different if it was a whole slew of media people, but there's literally one person in the courtroom running the camera, and over and over and over again, the defense was, bringing this back up, and they were back at it again, judge scolding him and asking him if he understands. So Yeah, they could very well intentionally be doing that.
Yeah.
And
So
hey,
then we
oh,
have
go
to
ahead, go
ask
ahead.
ourselves, how is Tyler Robinson's defense attorneys complicit in this? Like, you see what I mean? Because, and the reason why I asked that, under normal circumstances, I would be very much in line with them doing, but they're also trying to keep the evidentiary motions private. And that's what really concerns me and makes me wonder if they're not in some subtle or direct way involved with that nonsense. You know,
Yep.
because I think at the end of the day, they lost control of the narrative. Either they want Tyler Robinson to plea out, or they want to keep the whole proceeding private, because they do not want the public to see what a wreck of an evidentiary record that there is.
That train has left the station a long time
they
ago.
covered it up, so they do not want us to see the utter lack of an evidentiary record because it was covered up. In my opinion.
Yeah.
I don't know how complicit his attorneys are. I'm still thinking through that.
I mean, at the end of the day, you would think that the defense would feel like they have a very good case. I mean, at the end of the day, it just seems like it would be so easy to cast reasonable doubt. So to me, it's odd that they wouldn't want cameras in there to see them slam dunk on the prosecution.
Yeah. I mean, cause reasonable doubt, man. There's a man.
I'm not an attorney. I feel like I could walk up in there and reasonable doubt.
Absolutely. I mean, and as I covered in my live stream yesterday, just the witness statements, the initial witness statement, not the ones the media covered, not most of them, but firecrackers seemed like it came close to the stage. I mean, obviously those weren't developed from the beginning, but we got to see a lot of those before they were either gag ordered or suppressed through various means. Yeah, I certainly think, and obviously the 30-06, the fact that any ballistics expert worth their weight, in my opinion, is going to have an extremely tough time getting up there unless their credibility is bought.
Gary Melton's the only one I know of.
unless their credibility is bought, I don't see a ballistics expert getting up there and saying that looks like a 30-06 round.
And I mean, I've played video clips on some of my Gary episodes where he said the exact same thing. The physics, you're going to have to explain the physics to me because it can't happen. But now all of a sudden he's just like, trust it. Quit asking questions.
Yeah. Well, look, I'm going to use the restroom real quick, Adam. Do you want to switch over and start and play your clips, and we can talk about the situation with you and Gary?
I can, or I may scroll through here and read some of these comments.
Yeah, go ahead. I'm going to use the restroom real quick, y'all. I apologize. I tried to go as far. I made an hour today. I'll be right back. Okay. Thank you, sir.
All righty. Take your time. All right. Let's see. Yes. Okay. So here's one. My tinfoil hat. This is Brett. My tinfoil hat says Tyler walks. That's why this case is so absurd. He knows he's going to walk and he's just going through the motions. It'll be dismissed for some reason. This is one big show. I can't help but feel that way to a degree. I mean, there again, you heard Mr. Body Language expert say that, he didn't seem concerned at all. So I don't know. And I don't see, they're going to have to really impress me for me to see them actually getting a conviction. Like, I just don't understand how they could. I just don't see the evidence being there. Let's see. Oh, I think this one's my favorite. This is Miss Susan. Adam, you're on my big screen and Greg's on my phone. View count likes for both of you. That is great. I really, really appreciate that. We could both use it. And besides that, that says that you like me more than Greg. So that makes it even better.
No.
Did you hear that?
No.
I didn't think you did.
Like I didn't.
I was reading my favorite comment. This is the number one comment of the night. Miss Susan, Adam, you're on my big screen, and Greg is on my phone. View count and likes for both of you. I told her that was awesome, and we both appreciate it, both need it.
Thank
but
you, Miss Susan.
I
Thank you.
also told her I especially loved it because that means that she likes me better than you. She's got me on the big screen.
Well, you're probably a little bit prettier than I am.
Well, I don't know, maybe. Let's see. Okay. There's a bunch of good ones. I don't know. You're back, so we can go. I can go ahead and
Yeah. If you want to
put
roll
a
the
few
clip.
of those. Adam at the helm. Yep, that's right, Miss Susan.
Yeah, he's steering the ship tonight.
There you go. Gary is
I
scared
saw
of you,
that
Adam.
that was on my feed too.
That's
That was on my feed too.
That really means a lot. That sentiment really means a lot. Now, whether he actually is or not, I don't know. But it seems like he has to be concerned at least a little. Or, I mean, if he thought that he could just make a fool out of me, why would he not do that? Right? All right.
I get it.
Okay. I guess I'll put a few clips up here just to kind of give a feel of what that whole video was about, and then I can pull up some of those screenshots of the comments. I think the longest one's about 2 minutes.
Okay.
And let's see here. This is
wanna read
weird, me
through
playing
and-
myself.
I don't know, caress her face. Oh, don't do it. Don't give into it, Gary. No.
What, do you hear that? Do you hear that?
Yeah.
Like, this dude's got issues.
I agree with you 1,000%. And again, it does minimize where people were. Because now, hindsight is 2020. What have we been, like 25 years?
Yeah.
There's a whole lot of hindsighting that we've been doing since then.
Some of that information we didn't find out till years later. Like
there's some information we find out till yesterday. I mean,
And nobody's blaming him for enlisting and going and doing what he thought was right, and for going to protect his country, serve his country. Nobody's taking anything away from him for that. Again, all the questions go back to what was the actual reason we were there in the first place, not why did you enlist and why did you decide to go. He's trying to make it sound like it's personal. It's a personal attack on him. No.
yeah.
Okay, there's one. Here we go. Let me throw another one up here.
And it's illogical. It's dumb. It's the laziest.
It is not illogical. It's not dumb, and it's definitely not lazy. Lazy is taking what cross-eyed Cash Patel says as the God's honest truth, and that goofy-ass Governor Cox over there in Utah, and saying, okay, well, they said this is how it happened, so that's the way it happened. That is lazy. That's intellectually lazy. Any of these people that all right,
Like Kirk,
here's
you still
another
haven't
one.
given us any evidence of that. So what she's saying is, okay, there is evidence. These are the conspiracies that are true. So therefore, my conspiracy is true. Just like where I always hear people, well, then, you don't think Charlie Kirk was killed by, I don't know, the CIA, the freaking French Foreign Legion? Oh, what about Martin Luther King or JFK?
Oh my gosh.
Because one thing is true doesn't make the other things true. That is a absolute fallacy.
So here's a question. Martin Luther King, JFK, RFK. Let's see. You had an attempt on Reagan. So let's just take those. Yeah, there's others out there. Let's just take those. What's the one thing that they all have in common? If you break them down and you do your homework, you go back and you really look, the one main thing they all have in common is obviously our government hasn't come out and admitted this, but by all appearances, they were all orchestrated by intelligence agencies. They were they were not just some. It's always a lone shooter narrative, and it never has been a lone shooter narrative. It's always been the intelligence agencies, always. So at the end of the day, that right there would be my first reason for looking at the whole, stepping back from the Charlie Kirk situation and saying, again, they're saying this is a lone shooter, some crazy kid. So maybe we should consider that that's absolutely not the case, just because all of the other major political assassins that we've had over the past years, it's never been true. I got one more.
Okay.
You don't have to believe it's real. They do. That's the problem.
In America, when they removed the Bible out of the classroom, that used to be taught at public schools, the Bible, so that you knew.
Okay, I'm here to pick fights.
Yeah, he is. And he is definitely this is one of my favorites here. Like, this is how, when he said he's there to pick fights, I mean, he ain't lying. This one right here to me is the most absurd probably in the whole thing. I have to believe it's real. They do. That's the problem.
In America, when they removed the Bible out of the classroom, that used to be taught at public schools, the Bible, so that you knew.
Okay, I'm here to pick fights.
Yeah, he is. And he is definitely picking one right here. This is the most asinine thing I have ever heard.
Stops if the Bible being removed from classrooms, which, by the way, is weird work. I'm a former classroom teacher. You really didn't want these people teaching your kids Bible. I'll be honest with you. But
the conservative position for years, decades, has been that we should have never taken prayer out of the schools. We should have never taken the Bible out of the schools. This jackass hates Candace Owens so much that he is going to get on here and tell the world that it was not a bad thing that they took the Bible out of schools. It was a good thing, in fact, because you didn't want those people teaching your kids the Bible anyway. Yeah. That one right there, I think was the most absurd out of all of them, to make the argument that it wasn't bad that they took the Bible out of schools, that it was in fact a good thing because you might not like the interpretation that the teacher had. That to me is just absolutely ridiculous. So anyway, but I think the main reason we did this, we showed these, is to say that I wasn't really attacking Gary. So these videos I've done are not like just trying to be mean to Gary.
Yeah.
But you hear how ridiculous these points they're making are. Like they're not refuting anything, any of her arguments. Like, it's just dumb shit. Like,
it's really, and Barron pointed this out about Hunter Kozak last night. They're alleging that people on our end are saying simply because JFK and MLK were true, that's what they did, that this has to be true and what they did. I don't think anybody said that, but to the extent they did, that's just like Hunter Kozak the other night, or yet last night, picks out the most insane, stupid conspiracy theory argument and then refutes that, right?
Yeah,
and that's exactly what that was, right? Nobody's suggesting that just because JFK and MLK were way more likely than not perpetrated by the CIA, that's what happened here. But here's the difference.
No, but when you get done a certain way for so long, I mean, you got to at least.
Yeah, because the implication, Adam, is this. Basically, they're saying, and it makes no sense. Well, yes, JFK and MLK, they definitely did that, but we shouldn't ask questions here. I don't know. I really don't get the logic in it, to be quite honest.
No, I mean, there is none.
Lost on me, to be quite honest.
There is none. I mean, it's like, okay, these two people. All right. So everybody came out and said that it was absolutely for certain it was a lone shooter, a crazy person that shot and killed both of them. Over time, it has been proved pretty much without a shadow of a doubt that was not the case on either of those two. So all I'm saying is don't believe just because they come out and say it was a lone shooter that it was, especially when history shows that every time it's a lone shooter, it's actually not. The fact that happened then does not necessarily mean that this is the same.
That's right.
But also, when you get lied to so many times, you have to always,
Yeah, and I think it's Lisette here. She made a point too. Like whenever I think it was me and you, we talked about that episode with Andrea Burkhart. Dude,
oh God,
the other lawyer, when they were
that's
talking
his
about
property. He can do what he wants to with it.
dude, they literally at the front
Oh,
end
shit.
of that episode, like basically say, yeah, there's no reason to really trust the government. They surely look like they did these other blah, but here, blah. And it's like at that point, man, like when they say the but or whatever verbiage they use to get to that juncture, they lose me past that.
Yeah, I mean, it's ridiculous. Because he's he always says that. I'm not saying trust the government. In fact, don't trust the government. Don't blindly trust the government. But yet, what are you trying to say here?
I don't know. That's what I'm trying to get at. That's what I don't understand. And that goes back to, I guess and it's funny because in law, when you're doing experts, you pay experts to come and give an opinion for you in court. And so obviously a lot of the times the charge is, well, you're making an opinion which isn't in line with the science XYZ, basically selling your credibility. You know what I mean?
Well,
and not saying that happens, but that's usually the opposite side wants to make that charge.
But this is where I'm at with it. I kind of get why he's doing that. I totally understand it. Him along with a bunch of other influencers. But, it's like, okay, we got Trump elected. Our president's in office. So you know what? They said he did it. He had to have done it. But this is what I'm saying. We have one president. I mean, there's almost 40,000, people employed by the FBI or, FBI agents of some type. I believe that's the number. I could be wrong. Maybe it's more. But I think it's at least that 40,000.
Yeah.
So, and these are career people. So you're telling me that these career people that have been in there for 10, 15, 20, 25 years plus, they're already in there and so buried up in there. Like, really, what does having a new president have to do with the FBI telling you the truth at the end of the day? Like, there's so
absolutely
many,
nothing.
Right. I mean, like,
nothing.
it's the same FBI.
Yeah, and we know since J. Edgar Hoover that they do their own thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah,
And they
that's what
take
I was going to
pride
say.
in that.
All they got to do, Cash Patel's in here. He's real tight with Trump. We just got to be careful for 4 years and then, or 10 years, I guess, is what they're actually, but either way, it's just ridiculous. Let me, I'll pull up these, just to, these comments just to prove that we're not lying here. Okay. This was his original one. And look, it's for sure legit Gary at Paramount Tactical.
Yeah, look at him, dude. Oh, he did.
I'll give you a like since no one else will, but you're welcome to come on my show and provide facts and evidence to prove me wrong.
Well, you ever since I met you, which was right around the time that happened.
Yeah,
you've been prepared to do that every day I've spoken with you.
Oh, I got excited when he did.
We got to, man. That'd be a great opportunity for you, man. I mean, he shouldn't have done that. I feel he did bad doing that.
I don't know why I cut some of this off, but I was pretty respectful when I this was my comment back. Hey man, no shit. I would love to do that. No matter no matter what side of this thing we both land on. I'm all about having a conversation. I'm going to be 1,000% honest with you. I'm a fan. I used to watch every single episode without fail. What turned me off wasn't that I disagree with your beliefs on what happened. I just, I didn't tune in to hear Candace bashing, and I felt like that was all I was getting. I don't simp for her and damn sure don't agree with everything she says, but you have a hell of a good show if you leave the Candace bashing out. Disagree with her and discuss why on your show. That is one thing that's lacking. They always just talk shit about her, but don't really talk about how much she's lying, but don't ever prove her wrong.
Yeah.
Especially with Jay Witt. Anyway, I'll come on sometime if you're serious about it, and I'm serious about what I said. not a hater. Always watch you anyway. Thanks for and I don't know, I cut it off somehow. Anyway, all right. And then here was, let's see, next one. Yeah. You're a fan? As you accuse me of betraying my country and taking money from a foreign government, calling me a traitor is a weird way to show it. Anyhow, anytime next week, you're welcome to come on and prove me wrong. That was 3 weeks ago. But he read an awful lot into that, this whole,
I think he
accused me
did
of
read a
betraying
lot
my-
more into that than what you said. It's kind of like those instances where people like they speak their guilt like without even where you have to ask, and not accusing Gary of being guilty, but it just that.
No, but I didn't say any of that.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying. It's like what? What?
Nothing about a foreign country. Now, granted, the text on the thumbnail said something about TPUSA paid shield, and even that doesn't mean he's directly receiving a check. But maybe he's got more access. Maybe he'll be at the next Amp Fest. I mean, whatever.
Yeah, I mean, but hey, look, I mean, certainly since the Candace had her special come out, and now I think there has been some. Not to Gary specifically, but there has been evidence, right, that they've been paying people to attack her.
Yep. All right, here we go. Yes, I am a fan, and you being a traitor to your country isn't at all what I meant. And don't for a minute believe that you're a traitor. You served and in special forces on top of that. And from listening to you as much as I have, there's no question as far as I'm concerned. And I don't believe... Oh, yeah. I don't believe BB is writing you checks either. Maybe some people are getting those checks, though. I could be wrong. But I feel like you don't really need the YouTube with your business, and definitely don't need $7,000 checks. In my mind, being in that club means aligning quite a bit with those people and being in those circles of those. It's kind of small on my end, sorry, that I do think are cashing checks. If nothing else, let me make myself clear. I do not think at all you're a traitor in any sense of the word, and I would be happy to come on and explain my position on the $7,000 club and anything else you want to talk about. I'm always ready for a conversation, even with people I don't see eye to eye with. We'll figure out what day, and I'm there. So then there's one more, and that'll be it. Let's see.
Yeah, no, it's good. It's great context, man. Great context.
Oop, wrong one. Okay, yeah, here we go. There we go. He says at Paramount Tactical, he says, test. I've tried 6 times to respond, and my comments all get deleted. I don't know. Maybe that's the case. I didn't have anything to do with that.
It does happen. Brett Booth, one of my subs here. Yeah, it happened to him. So it happens, man.
Well, I don't think that's still the deal. You know
It very well might not.
I think I would have gotten something by now. Anyway, really? That's weird. I can assure you I wasn't deleting them. I wonder how that happens. And then I said, hey, man, are you still having comments get deleted, or have you just not replied back yet? Just checking on when you want me to come on the show. So there you go. That's where it stands, other than the X post.
Yeah.
And I could pull that up, but that thing's rather long. So y'all go find me on X, and y'all can check out that post.
Yeah. And you made a post this week, right? And
yes,
brought it back up. And he hasn't responded to that.
No, not as of yet. I think it was Tuesday, maybe.
Yeah, I think it was.
Something like that.
Yeah. And I shared it too. I mean,
yeah,
we're such small fish, it might not have gotten to him. No, you tagged him.
I did tag him.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know for sure if that helps. I have heard people say that if you tag somebody, but you are not, you're not friends, that they still won't see it. But I don't know. I'm not really sure.
Yeah. Well,
but anyway, any of y'all that are on X, get on there and share it and tag him and all that good stuff. So
yeah.
Because I mean, I think I followed Gary on X. Yes, I do, but he doesn't follow me, and that was what I was told by somebody that could. Since he doesn't follow me, even me tagging him, it may possibly not show up. For him. I don't know. Anyway,
yeah, if his show Dangerous Liberty. But it seems to me, like I said at the start, the most dangerous thing to our liberty is failing to engage in these meaningful conversations, especially in these very trying times, very polarizing times. You know, y'all are both seemingly reasonable people. If there's two people to sit down and have that conversation, I mean, I think that y'all could do it and be productive potentially. So yeah, I just think that our whole, community, our whole space is missing out by him not following through with his word. That's just my personal perspective.
Well, I'm going to keep on. I'm going to keep commenting back. I'm going to keep on with the X post, and I have said it before, and I'll say it again right now. Anybody that hears this, if you ever drop in his comments, or if you want to drop in his comments intentionally, or maybe or in his chat, somebody wants to super chat him $2 and say, hey, Adam Thomas podcast is trying to take you up on that offer.
Yeah, for sure.
So yeah.
Amen, man.
Start bombarding him. Maybe he'll reach out.
He will. Maybe he will. Look, I can say this, like I know you're not out there like having these lives and stuff to like get clicks and stuff. You're out there talking because you feel a certain way about it and feel like you're.
And my issue with him has never been that he disagrees with Candace. That's fine. And if he wants to devote all his shows strictly to, his arguments, what he doesn't agree with and why, that's fine. But it's always just the dumb shit, character assassinations and making fun of little examples she gives or what have you. Like I have not ever seen him or any of these others sit down and just go through what she is claiming or things she is questioning and just point by point refute it. He hasn't done it, and neither is anybody else that I know of.
The thing is that her talking about Erica, dude, she's stating facts. Well, she's telling us these are facts, and you know what? I don't have any reason to doubt it if I don't ever hear any counter narrative.
She showed us the birth certificates with, the wrong date or different dates on them. She showed us the, what was it that had the scribbles on it, something marked out. And then, she's showing as much evidence, I believe, as one could show for in this series. So, and again, not heard them refute not one single point.
Yeah.
Everybody just talks about how demonic and evil it is for her to be doing it, but not why.
Yeah. And so so is it your opinion? Kind of like I was saying at the first, like do you feel they are part of this media blitz to try to bolster the Fed slop narrative and attack people like Candace who are out here digging for the truth?
Definitely.
Yeah.
And there's a couple different reasons why. For one, these people in particular, I feel like, want to keep TPUSA around for whatever the reasons are. But you got to look at it from the big media point of view also. Most of those big media organizations are all liberal. Obviously, Turning Point is not. But at the end of the day, every single time it has been lone shooter, and by all accounts actually wasn't. So, if they were to actually dig into this and prove our point, then they would have to admit that we really do have a certain aspects of our government that will conspire to take somebody out. And I don't know, for that to be official and on the record, people can believe it just based on the evidence that they're seeing, but for it to actually be proven out like that by mainstream news, and I don't know, that'd just be a very bad.
Dude, I think about it all the time. Like,
but if they would admit it, maybe then they could say, okay, but we are going to turn this around. This will not happen again. And this is why.
Adam, you got to think.
But they got to be able to keep that card up their sleeve.
If the government, if it came out that the FBI, which is under the DOJ, was involved in manufacturing this incident and this narrative, what's the fallout going to be? Dude,
I mean, and that's going to put into question every single case they've ever handled.
Well, not just that. It's what do we do?
That's why everybody questions it anyway.
What do we do to hold them accountable? Who's going to hold them accountable?
Themselves.
You think Pam Bondi's going to go hold Kash Patel accountable even if she figured out that he did? No. And then we're all going to be stuck. And what happens then? I mean, sometimes when I think about what the fallout's going to be, it's scary. I mean, I'm just going to say it scares me a little bit.
Well, I'm going to tell you right now, I'm not saying that I believe this. I'm not saying I'm married to this idea, but the one thing I keep in the back of my mind and I keep hoping and praying that maybe there's a little, I just had this thought one day, like, look, they had this public fight between Kash Patel and Joe Kent, because Tulsi Gabbard and Joe Kent were wanting to look into the foreign aspect of it. Maybe, hopefully, it'd be great to find this out down the road, that they do believe that there was a foreign aspect. They know who that foreign entity is, and that, I mean, the best way to, I guess, investigate and deal with a foreign, state like that is to do it on the DL. And so maybe the best way to convince this foreign entity that they've gotten away with it is to, have a public fight where, no, we're not looking into this.
Well, hey, I hope you're right. I certainly hope you're right, Adam. I mean,
we're 100% invested in Tyler Robinson.
I never thought about that. Maybe there is some element of the federal that's actually looking into this.
Like I said, I'm not married to it, but I mean, at the end of the day, it would make sense. I mean,
it gives me a little bit of hope.
Exactly. Now, I mean, I'm still counting on them taking Tyler Robinson all the way to the end. But you know what? Yeah. Maybe that's why he's not worried. Maybe he knows he's part of a huge counterintelligence, show.
Well, maybe so.
And I'm not saying that I'm not trying to convince anybody of that.
Yeah,
I'm just saying it's a thought I had.
Yeah.
More than likely, it's what we've been talking about.
Yeah. And I want to encourage everybody. Like I've said, like, look, please understand. I mean, just from my perspective, like we've talked about tonight, they are coming hard to try to recover this narrative and make Tyler Robinson the guilty party in this instance, right? Mm-hmm. And so please understand that everything you're presented from the media and these different creators, like, just always keep that in the back of your mind. You know what I mean? Keep that in the back of your mind. As you see, there are creators and people. Let me tell you this. I watched this guy named Luke Caverns, who's like an independent archaeologist, and he's got a good show. I like watching that stuff. And even him made a post on YouTube saying that he had to turn down the money to post pro Philadelphia.
Yeah.
So it's like, if they're reaching that far, man.
Exactly. It's crazy. I mean, they're getting everybody that they can.
And I know y'all knocked me on not having the YouTube membership, but I'm telling y'all, I saw there are pro, Philadelphia commercials out there.
I was getting them all the time.
Yeah, and not only that, like preying on Christian beliefs and practices to get people to. Okay, so I just want to let y'all know that, like,
that's the biggest thing.
Real out there.
Yeah, well, show faith by works. That's that. That's
kiss the wall, huh? Is that what they do over there? Kiss the wall.
That's what that stuff that Danks and mothers have dug into is that show
it's
faith
true.
By works.
Yeah,
the ones that filed under FARA.
Yeah.
But anyway, just one last point on that I was saying a minute ago.
You're good.
So I'm not trying to tell people that that's what I believe is happening. And more than likely we're correct, and he's just getting railroaded, and they're covering the whole thing up at the end of the day. But
could be
just if by chance that happens, remember where you heard it from first.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, man, dude, I'm good on stuff.
Oh,
You
I
got
can
some more
talk.
stuff you want to cover tonight?
I know. I was going to say I can talk forever, but I think that
Oh, I
probably
know
pretty
you.
well
Me too,
covers it.
though. I'm not going to sit here and talk shit about you. I can too, brother. I can too, man. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I enjoyed it, man. We'll try to do this as many Fridays as we can, and
Yeah.
keep the conversation going. And hopefully, in the meantime, you can go to Paramount Tactical
Yep.
and have this productive conversation. Hopefully,
Yep,
maybe
and-
Gary would change his mind. Maybe you can
Yep.
convince him that the Fed slop narrative is
Yeah,
not
you never
it.
know. You never know. You never know.
No, man.
I don't know how I could convince somebody like him that the 30-06 is not going to stop in a human neck, but he should know that. But anyway.
Yeah. Barron said it good last night. He's like, it's right. Could I say exactly what would happen to a human neck? No, but he said like pretty much decapitated, more or less. I
Basically,
know that's very gory, but
basically
more or
the
less.
point that I heard him make was that we just don't know. Yes, it is rare. It's anomalous, I think is the word he used. But there's no way we can know because all these people that are doing tests are not doing realistic tests.
That's right.
That, he said there's clothes and there's this and there's that. So basically at the end of the day, what he was saying is it doesn't matter what kind of test y'all are doing. Y'all are wasting y'all's time. Y'all are wasting y'all's time. You're not going to convince me. The only way to convince me is if you take a living human being and shoot him in the neck with a 30-06, and then, then it's a legit test. You know what I mean? Like, without coming out and saying it, basically he was saying there's no test we can do that'll
That's what
actually.
Gary said?
Yeah, he was just talking about how the ballistics gel is not the same, and this and that and the other. I mean, look, they were exploding, big chunks of beef and pork with solid leg bones in them. Again,
I bet you could ask some of
same.
I bet you could ask some of the IDF soldiers who've been over there having a field day in Gaza. They could probably tell you around about what would happen in that scenario.
Yeah.
They probably.
I played a clip on my show the other night about the about the rifle there at the end of a British sniper. I don't know if you caught any of that, but that one's good because.
Are you talking about what's his face's podcast where they had the British
Mike
sniper
drop is what it's called.
Yeah, Mike. What's
Mike,
his name?
I can't think of his last name right now.
Yeah, I saw some of that too. Yeah, exactly. I mean,
yeah, he asked him. He's like, "Have you ever done this before?" And he was like, "Yeah, it wasn't with the 30-06. It was, something else. But at the end of the day, I've made basically that shot from actually further away." And he said, "Well, what did you see?" And he was like, "Oh, it made a way messier." So,
yeah,
I thought that was cool. He even said in that, and you can find that show I did on the rifle thing. If you go all the way down to the close to the end, you can catch that part with him. But he says, he clarifies. Mike says, "So, are you saying that you just don't believe that the caliber and everything is, or are you saying you think maybe one of these other alternate theories, like the microphone or this or that, is possibly the way it happened?" And he was like, yeah, he does. So, he said he doesn't believe that he was shot.
Yeah, I saw.
I don't know. Anyway.
All right, brother. Well, good. Thank
Yes.
you, everybody. Like, comment, subscribe to Adam Thomas Podcast, The Entheogenic Esquire. We'd be honored to have you. And we'll be back probably next Friday. And Adam, I'll be in touch with you, brother, in the interim. Stay safe. Have a safe, happy, and blessed weekend. And
Yes, sir. You too.
Stay awake.
Yes, definitely.
All right, brother. Peace, y'all.
Yes, sir. I'll see you.